I call this meeting to order. Roll call to determine the quorum.
Ms. Angela Tappan, District 8.
Here.
Mr. Henry Noble, District B.
Here.
Mr. James Green, District C.
Here.
Mr. Gary Green, District D.
Present.
Mr. Howard Locke, District E.
Present.
Record will show that all 5 are present.
We have a quorum. Could you please stand for the invocation and pledge? Mr. Cody.
Father God, we thank you for this day, for this day you have given us. We thank you for the clouds, we thank you for the rain, we thank you for the sunshine. Lord God, no matter what's going on, we are here. You've given us a purpose to be here for us all to come together in the name of the city of Bastrop, Lord God. Lord God, give us the minds and the hearts to take care of the city's business, and that we may continue to love on one another and just do what's best for the city of Bastrop. That's what this is about. Lord God, again, I just thank you for everything. Thank you for the incoming mayor, oh Lord God, that his administration will put procedures and policies in place, and that we will, at the end of the day, still be able to call each other and say, hey, we got an issue we need to talk about. Let's do that in the name of Jesus Christ, our Son, Savior Jesus Christ. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, item 3, agenda modifications. Is there any?
I do want to add a couple of things to the agenda. I want to suspend Robert rules of orders, and I want to add the imposition about the contract for video recording and the ARPA funds allocation.
Is that a motion?
That is a motion.
Second.
All right, now at this time, there'll be public comments. There'll be public comments about adding the inquisition about the video contract and about the ARPA funds expenditure list. Is there any public comments as it relates to should these items be added to the agenda?
We have somebody coming up.
Charles Pratt, 1320 South Washington Street. Good evening, Councilman and Mayor. When you mentioned the ARPA fund, Mrs. Tappan, You talking about the American Rescue Fund?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, those two, I'd like to make a comment about those. Fine, if I recall, this time, give me one moment here. I didn't know, I don't know if I added to the agenda, but
They can hear you, man.
I didn't know you had added it to the agenda, but I had made some notes concerning that. The ARPA fund was generated, $250,000, each council $50,000 each by Mrs. Hart. And we've all given $50,000 each to do whatever we chose in our community, profit or nonprofit. And at the time, I made several donations from my district. I think one to Robinson Williams, for $10,000. I think I made one to Wilson Pine Grave Site for $1,000. And I made one to East Side Community, I think, workers, for another $6,000. And Mr. Mayor Hawkins at 1305 Meek Street did a demolition of one of them for, I think, $4,500. At this time, Ms. Hawkins have not been paid. There were several meetings and discussion about paying Mr. Hawkins, but it never has manifested at this time. And I'd like to come before this council asking that they pay Mr. Hawkins for 1305 Meek Street. And if I understand clearly, she did some more work on Marvin Street in District 8. These funds were delegated for the council with their charge to be distributed to you. I think Ms. Hawkins, I'm sure she met all the requirements. Everyone else was paid. That came from my district, everyone was paid. And I'd like to ask the mayor and the board of aldermen tonight to pay Mrs. Hawkins out of those funds since they came up, American Rescue Fund. And while I'm here, I was looking at the 2025, 26 budget, and I see the American Rescue Fund as of May of this year had $180,000, but then it says zero at the end. I'd like to get some clarity on that, but I'm sure that's part of our budget. Something we can talk about when we get to the budget, but since I was here, I wanted to bring that here. And that was one of the things I wanted to bring up. And public comments, I haven't got to that, you know. Okay, when we get to public comment, I got about 90% of the agenda.
Yeah, appears to be the conclusion of the public comments. This time we'd have a vote of the board as to whether the board, the motion or the call of the question is whether the agenda should be expanded to add 13C, which would be the inquisition about the video contract, and 13D, which would then be the ARPA funds list. So at this time, it would be a call for a vote on that.
Aye.
District B?
Aye.
District C?
Aye.
District D?
Yes.
District E?
Yes.
It's unanimous, that carries. So those items will be added to the agenda and will be subject to the regular public comment section that occurs after this.
So it'll be 13C and 13D, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All
All right.
C and 13D. So C and D.
13C and 13D.
Wait,
On five, we're on item 5, announcement and recognition by the mayors and district.
I think we're on.
Oh, four. I'm sorry.
Public comments.
Item 4, public comments as they relate to the items on the agenda.
At this time, it'd be public comments for anything that's related, public comments for anything that relates to the items on the agenda.
Anybody want to speak on any item, about any items on the agenda? There's no, okay.
homeless in the community. And we have many abandonment issues, and the issues are my own. I live on the corner of Montgomery and Bentley. There's a house right behind me, and it looks like, waste management just came to dump everything in the driveway. And on the street, there's trash everywhere. And it's been there ever since the end of 24.
What street you said again?
I live on the corner of Bentley and Montgomery. And the issues is on Bentley, right behind me.
Yeah, Mr. Jake Green, told me about that. I also rode out there and took pictures, and it's awful. We're gonna try to get to that. I already took pictures and spoken to some of the neighbors also.
Attorney Jones. You remember when I brought that to your attention a while back when you first contacted me?
Correct. So we've attempted to reach out to the owners regarding it, and as it moves forward, it will be subject to the code enforcement and the environmental court and all the procedures and processes that are put in place to be able to remedy and rectify that situation, be able to get it done. It's as it existed before, it was in a position that needed to have something done, but I believe the city is in a posture and position now to take aggressive and immediate force against these nuisance and abatement issues, as I've discussed with the administration.
Do you still have Ms. Kennedy's number?
I do have their number, and I can reach out and make contact with them again with the new administration and the procedures that have been discussed to take care of what is our code enforcement issues that exist. I hope to have an aggressive action plan to get that remedied.
They've been complaining, I've passed by it also.
It has been on the radar since you first called me regarding it, and we've attempted in all the exhaustive methods that I could at the time do it, but with the aggressive plan for code enforcement and environmental court, I believe we'll be able to exhaust further remedies to be able to resolve these issues.
That's the problem, Randy. That's one of the Lyra's properties. Am I right? It's like two houses. One of them Lyra's and one of them is Judy.
Correct. There's a property that is the owners of it would be the Lowry, what we refer to as Lowry property. It's one of the plaguing property owners that is in the city that we've been dealing with for a long time. That it is the goal and intent to be aggressive in enforcing against those properties, not just that person, but any person who has these issues that have long been the discussion by the council and others with me regarding this. I believe that we have an aggressive plan to go forward on that.
Devin, did we ever get a code enforcement officer?
At this point, I understand that we have somebody who is going to do code enforcement. The administration has identified somebody and is in the active process of obtaining and fully staffing that department so that it can meet full-time aggressive enforcement of those ordinances. I have come to speed with the environmental court, with the office, to ensure that everybody is on the same page with the process and procedures that exist that are required to get there. And it is our hope that in very short due course, there will be a substantial change in the posture towards the way we treat abatement, nuisance, and these things that you hear about, the things that I've gotten calls for. I'll lay it out flat. We get calls about trash houses all the time. I had a call literally yesterday at my office, and I've been on the phone with a company in Minnesota about a fireworks stand and a dumpster that's overflowing. I've called, that company was bought that was on the side of the dumpster. I tracked down and called the company who bought that company and said, hey, either you get it or we're going to take you to court over this. I have to empty it. We will not put up with this.
The Lowry property is pretty much a nuisance in pretty much all of our districts. Cause you know, I have complained this year.
I have.
If the volume and amount of property that exists by that individual property owner is in excess of a couple dozen. Of those properties, I would tell you the majority are plaguing issues that have existed throughout every council's district. There is aggressive steps that we can take And I believe that the structure is in place and the people are quickly coming together to be able to make those aggressive moves so that we can take care of these issues as soon as possible.
And I guess because people are still calling us, so I guess if we had sort of a timeline, and I know it's in the process, but us telling them that it's not good enough, so if we can kind of get a timeline, if we can know, maybe within the next 4 weeks, we will have a code enforcement officer in place, people will, react better.
I would tell you, as I have discussed, I believe that office will be filled and that department will be staffed in a manner to be ready within the next 30 days. And it is my intent that August 1 is to get the notice delays and everything rolling so that we have a fully operational that can access every available type of relief that we can get to take care of these problems.
One of the information, Mr. Jones. One of the information, Mr. Jones. Are you remember you and I discussed the nuclear option, the last option that we was gonna try to work out legally is to revoke his occupation of anybody's occupation, not just his, but if you're a nuisance, so you're not gonna be in compliance, there's no sense in you making money in the city and causing the city problems, being a eyesore. We're trying to attract businesses, so you guys spoke with the nuclear option by revoking.
And I currently, yes, so the nuclear option, as we talked about, is if anybody has created plaguing issues or is in violation of city ordinances, that they would not be able to gain an occupational license the next year. That they would be prohibited from that, or that it could be any occupational license that they have would be able to be revoked. We will need a change to the occupational ordinance to do that, and that is something that will quickly come before this board as a change that wants to exist, that the council has all indicated they wish to have exist. And I will bring that to this board so that that can be voted on if it's the council's will.
Point of information, Mr. Jones, is there a list of properties, blighted houses, that we're gonna be working from already? Because again, since we brought up Mr. Byron, there is a property, I'm not sure how many, but I know of one property that is a mess over in District B. Again, I'm not fully aware if he has any more properties, but again, I am asking, is there already a dedicated list of properties that we're going to be working from? And is that list in any way going to be subjected to our district funds? Do we have to use our district funds for any of those properties that have been identified?
To answer your first question, is there a list? At one point, there was a list that was compiled by the previous code enforcement department that was in anticipation of receiving a blight grant that had properties that were included. Many of the properties you've discussed, it had about somewhere between 40 and 60 properties on it. I don't believe that'd be an exhaustive list of every issue, but it was the most plaguing ones. That list.
Kevin, wasn't that adjudicated property?
No, that was not adjudicated. These were properties that were just simply considered to be some of the worst blighted properties. The grant had a point system attached to it. Mr. Waxman is in possession of that list, and we will gain possession of the list if we cannot organically get it from the files here. But that list is not exhaustive. As far as district funds, funding for that, for any of the stuff, the district funds were dedicated to the districts for the purposes of enhancement of the city and the districts within the city, or overall enhancement of the city. Where the funding comes from is the mayor's budget. But I can tell you this much, in discussions, there is plans to ensure that we have the tools and the capability to aggressively take care of what is code enforcement problems.
Okay, one last question. Is the code enforcement officer or staffing that is going to be coming, is there a number of people that we've identified or we're looking to come on, that are looking to come on board besides just one code enforcement officer?
As to the exact number, do not know, but I do know as to the conversation that anything that is necessary to fully staff that, I have been tasked with bringing to the administration. If we have any holes or deficiencies in achieving that goal, then to bring it to the administration, and the administration will aid us in any way they can to help facilitate the resolving of these issues.
All right, promise.
Hello, I'd like to address item 11.
Excuse me, could you state your name and address?
Daniel Manning at 500 Arview Drive, Bastrop. Okay, I'd like to address item 11 on planning and zoning business. Request for a special zoning permit at 607 Orion Drive. So I have a petition, me and the neighbors came up with an agreement at 607 Orion Drive, that the building that is in front of the house is undervalued in the neighborhood. And then I got a petition, a signed petition by the neighbors.
That's lemonade. Yeah.
Just hold on till we get,
Okay,
to, it's just supposed to come.
all right.
Again, my name is Charles Bradley, 1320 South Washington Street, in Bastrop, Louisiana. I'd like to make some comments here on the agenda here. So I'll start with 7A, Finance Report Committee, 7B, Planning and Zoning Committee Report. Then we'll go to number 9. Number 9, action on resolution introducing the previous minutes. And for 25-2103A, resolution to amend the operation budget for the revenue and expenses for the fiscal year beginning July 1st of 2024, ending June 30th of 2025, and adopting operating budget expense, revenue, and expenses for the fiscal year beginning July 1st of 2025 and ending June 30th of 2026. That would be A, you got that listed on A, and then B would be ordinance establishing a special permit use. I would like to have more detail with you. I got quite a few, like I say, got all the way down here. Do you want to take them one at a time? If I want to hold the meeting up and I can come up and ask my question, maybe you can answer some of it as you get to it. And I think that was, I mean, that's just a suggestion. So if you want me to run it, I'll be here. You want to take it one at a time?
You go ahead and address them
You
now.
want me to go ahead and address them now? Okay, before I go on down and further, let me, we're gonna get lost in the process here. Let's talk about the 24-25 budget. I noticed in the 24-25 budget that I have here, excuse me, how many of y'all have your budget, 24-25 budget? And to go back to American Rescue Funding again, in the 24-25 budget. In the 24-25 budget, if you look at the top page 1, it has 0 in there. You already remember, I put on the previous council might remember that. It was not even posted in the 24-25 budget. It's probably to you, Mayor Moore. I just want to draw a picture here of what we're running into. That was never put into the budget. Later on, Mrs. Hart came along with remember the mission tree, all the mission trees, the $250,000 mission tree, it was 2 point something million dollars. Totally there. Well, for my calculation, you asked me to adopt this budget. For my calculation, we're missing quite a bit of funding. Only thing I know we're missing from the the $250,000 that was allocated to the council. So 19,000 I spent, Ms. Stafford have another 12,000. Okay, then it shows in the 25-26 budget, only $183,000 there. We haven't spent $50,000 of that money yet, but in this budget that we're getting ready to adopt, what you're asking to adopt, 25-26 budget, it's short of something, almost $50,000. I'm not the accountant, don't stick me to those numbers somewhere in that area, okay? And this is before the council tonight to adopt this. Myself, this is a recommendation I'd like to ask, that's a citizen, that you already consider adopting any kind of budget tonight. Any kind of budget tonight, because you got some things on down the agenda here dealing with new positions. No, that's not in the budget, not in the budget that was presented by the previous mayor. As a citizen again, I would like to know what kind of funding this additional staffing that we spoke of on the call, what do it fit in the budget? I don't want to see us in the hole, you know. I like to see us on target on one accord. I think the prayer was one accord. And I think before we adopt these budgets, we get back to my agenda again, got my question. Before we adopt these budgets, we need to maybe publicize them according to the Louisiana Budget Act. Any citizen have a right to see the budget before it's adopted and presented. It should be properly advertised. I know the previous administration, I think they advertised it at some time, but now that there have been changes going to be made, I'm sure going to be changes made. We need to make changes. We need to follow the Louisiana Budget Act and re-advertise it in the paper, give the citizen a day of time to post it on the wall. I think that's what we require, and give the citizen an opportunity to come in and look, to add, or ask any question concerning the new budget 25-26 budget. I know that it passed the time that we supposed to adopt the budget in June, just passed last month, but we still can operate on what they call a 50%. Help me out, Councilman. A 50%. Don't treat me like a stranger. Okay, but we can operate on a 50% of the budget. And I ask that tonight we doesn't. This is my comment that we don't do. I'm requesting that we don't for those reasons. I think it won't be fair to the citizens and to the county and the new administration to get on the right foot, and we won't be caught in the blind. I'll move on. You say, let me see. That was 9. That covered 9A. Okay, the procedures. Look at D. 9D. They talk about ordinance 25-4282, 42 establish procedure for special use permit. I think we had an ordinance. I don't have it before me. I mean, the council have it with him tonight. That did we ever? You all gonna vote on approving that tonight, or that's something just before the council action will be taken on that tonight?
It's supposed to take action.
Supposed to take action. I think it was up for action too. Okay, no action will be taken on that tonight. Let me move on down to 10. new business in action on proposed new resolutions. Okay, say 10A, appointment of city attorney, excuse me. Appointment city attorneys, that's more than one. I noticed before, this is recommendation, I come in, you don't have to wait on it. Before we appoint any city attorneys again, I think it'd be very important to check that budget. You know, with these new attorneys coming in, that what they may be asking or what we getting into, or do it fall within our budget that we're getting ready to adopt. If so, if we're not going to adopt the budget, I think we might need to hold off appointing any attorneys. I think we got 2 or 3 to take to get now, but I'm sure they'd be glad to come out next month. I think everybody asking for a 30-day period. I know it's just getting started, you know, a 30-day period to weigh out what you came into. You know, what you came into. I can emphasize it because I know what the mess was there. Okay, I can say that. I know it was a mess. But to go and say, hey, we're going to put someone on payroll tonight without knowing what's in our budget, I don't think that's fair to the taxpayers. You know, this is the taxpayers' money. I mean, you can consider maybe just not take no action. I noticed that name's not presented here, like Mr. in the special counsel of budgets and policy and legal service, like Mr. Smith here. I mean, I can identify, you know, but the other name doesn't appear. And I just think before we do any add to, at least have an idea what we're working with. I like to know what's going on in my household before I go to spending. My wife don't think so, but I do. Okay, I like to know what's going on in my household before I go to spending. Okay, I'll move on down. Special journal, okay, that's no problem with that. Are we still at 10? I'm at 10D now. Resolution 2107. Approval of council group LLC. I guess that's another expense that we're getting ready to take on. I don't know what their job description, what type of service they will be providing to the city, but I think that needs to be spelled out more in detail before we go take on sound like that's an outside counseling firm. That what do their duties and what do they do? What are they going to do? What kind of service they're going to provide to the city? I guess my question.
That's like the chief of staff.
Like the chief of staff?
Chief of staff,
A corporation, that's the chief of staff?
Point of information.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Public comments, let's wait, we get down.
Yeah, let's just do it public.
I'm telling comment right now, so go ahead.
Go ahead, I'm not talking about the council. He just doing his public comment.
Yeah, I'm just making, I'm making public comment. I just wondered that we be, as citizens, be given a clear picture of what's going to take place. And when I see Council Group LLC Chief of Staff as the individual, I would say LLC is a corporation. What are the duties? What are the salaries? And I mean, you know, we've been getting into a contract with the company. We don't know what the date, the amount, anything that we're getting. Maybe they want $100,000 a year. Maybe I don't know what. I'm just using, you know, that's just my comment. I don't know, but that needs to be spelled out to me as a citizen, from a citizen. Okay, I'll move on from that. I'll go down to number 11, planning and zoning business. I think the gentleman spoke about the Orange 607 Orange Drive. I don't see how entities can be passed or approved a request, but they can request for bid, they approve any zoning entity without having a code enforcement in place. Because you have to do the inspection of a code enforcement team. And I'm really impressed with what you said about the team coming up from the side. Yeah, good. We're gonna really get some things together. We get the team done here to go into code enforcement in this community. Because everybody's gonna be almost served over helping us people on staff to go out and take the necessary action and get it done. I'm gonna move on to number 12, introducing an ordinance, what ordinance number 12? In Pacific ordinance, you said ordinance, what ordinance? In Pacific? Look at number 12.
I think number 12, if we had an ordinance to introduce, I think it'd go right there.
Okay, if you have one to introduce,
Yes, sir.
okay, but not now, business to be at this time. Okay, I just want to get some clarity. Okay. Okay, let's see here. I go down, I go down to 14. 14, request speaker, on speak on the items. Okay, I spoke about Ms. Mary Hawkins earlier.
Yes, sir.
I guess my question to this council today, right this morning, are you all made a decision to pay Mrs. Hawkins?
It's been resolved. It's been resolved. It's been resolved.
Ms. Hawkins been paid?
Yes.
Oh, thank you, then. Well, I'm selling it, I just want to thank you, Lord. Amen. Thank you for that. Thank you, council, too. Okay. I think that is. And I'd like to thank the council for giving me the opportunity to come before them and be patient with me.
Thank you.
I ain't no stranger, they know I'm wrong with it.
We look forward to seeing you.
Any more comments? Any more comments? Move to item number 5. Announcement and recognition by the mayors and districts.
Okay, I have one quick announcement. Everybody know we're in the midst of summertime. Everybody needs to stay well hydrated. A lot of dehydration going on in extreme temps. Make sure you drink plenty of liquids, and especially kids too. We know a lot of kids participating in football camps. So make sure your kids are well hydrated. So the kids and the elderly, they are the most at risk for dehydration. So let's just make sure our kids and elderly people are well hydrated. That's it for me.
I have an announcement too. For those that's on Facebook, District D has its own Facebook page. Feel free to leave in the comments. If you can't make the meetings, you can inbox that page. I personally respond back to you. Or you can come in on the page itself, just to let me know any problems you have. You can't come to the meetings, or you don't feel like coming to the meetings. So feel free to visit the Facebook page, District D.
We also had a cleanup on the 28th of June. I'd like to thank everybody that was involved. We had over 100 bags of trash picked up. I would like to thank Sheriff Tubb for 2 crews. A special thanks to him. Also, everyone that came to our inauguration, we would like to thank y'all also. I have an appreciation award to give out. No, it's gonna be, I'm gonna read it out. It's gonna be a award, appreciation award presented to Charles Henry Bradford in Bradford recognition for your service, dedication, and unwavering commitment and city council. District B, 2023 or 2023 through 2025. Martin Moore, Senior Mayor, and the City Council of Bastrop, Louisiana will present you.
I'm not gonna say anything, because you used to be mad at I cried enough.
And another announcement, you seen the cupola? Doing the cleanup campaign with Mayor, he's probably seen Cooper Lake Road. It was terrible. So myself and Ms. Wanda Davis, the police jury, open our district, myself, Mr. Ricky Smith, and Mr. Career Davis. We got all the trash up from one end of Cooper Lake Road all the way up in a matter of about 5 hours.
I wanna thank my city council too, Dee Dee Green and James Green. They was part of the cleanup also. And, Ricky Smith helped too also. We was out there from 8 that morning to 12, a little after 12. I don't think they was ready to leave, but we had to go. Appreciate it, thank you.
I have one more, I forgot about this. The Highland Country Club Road project it is moving, so, I don't know if the mayor wanna comment on that, or Mr. Smith or Mr. Jones, but we have a plan. Last meeting, we did increase the budget to, I guess, incur all the costs for fixing that area. That road has been down a long time, so it is in the works and will be fixed. Hopefully, within the next maybe 60 days, they'll start working on it, but it's coming.
Yeah, Council Lady, Tappan called and asked me to check on it. I checked on it and he said they was, giving the, everything they need to start on it. And once they get everything they need, they will contact us and give us a timetable. Also, Viola Water, we met with, me and Mr. Smith met with, them in office, and it's a big hole in front of them, on the back of the parking lot. It's getting bigger. So today, we took pictures, and today they contacted me and said they will, fill it in and fill it in and fix it. So it should be fixed. Today it should be fixed. But they probably gonna leave stuff over and let it get hard, so.
Real quick, I want to piggyback off what the mayor said. I'd like to thank everybody for their support, their encouragement, all the advice and just general support during my campaign for this seat. I am glad to be here. I know there's a lot of work ahead for the city of Bastrop, but it's going to take each and every one of us to continue. Number one, we've already started the cleanup mission, and that needs to happen in each and every one of our districts. Again, I'm thankful for the support, and I look to work with everybody here on the council, the mayor, and each individual citizen, and not just in District B, but the city as a whole. I am District B's representative, but I'm also a representative of Bastrop as a whole. So again, I thank you. And lastly, since we're talking about projects, there is a project on Division McPhee. We want to make sure that gets the attention that it needs as well. That project has been going on for a long time, and I've been getting a lot of calls and what have you about this project, and I need to give people the right answer about what's going on with that project and what stage it's in. So going forward, I just like better communication from the city administration officials in regards to certain projects, and whatever step they're in, we need to know that so we can give that to our citizens.
Also, Keep Wine's beautiful, Miss Vicky Carpenter, she the one gave us all our stuff we needed to clean up. I want to thank her too. And Mr. Doty, you give me a call like Miss Angela Tappan, and I will give you everything you need.
Okay, one other announcement, District C, man. And I got with you like the other day and with the engineers. Everybody knows the drainage problem on the Cooper Lake Road. And it's another, I haven't written it down. We walked it out the mayor and myself, we kind of traced it down and talked to the engineers, says the way the subdivision was constructed. How it's trying to drain down, come across, it's a ditch. It's going, you wouldn't believe how it's trying to make its way, it's gonna go path of least resistance. So if you go look and you see it's kind of been neglected from, you gotta go downstream and work your way back upstream, because there's no sense in fixing it at this point when it's still bottleneck at the end. So it goes all the way, the problem starts on Boswell. That's where it empties out at Boswell. And it traces its way all the way back up. Well, we got to get with the engineers and see what can be done, because if you walk through there, you see no way it's not gonna drain, because it's got logs, sticks, and I don't know when the last time it was cleaned out over there. So that's the problem we have on the Cooper Lake Road. It's backing up because it's bottleneck. And I spoke with the mayor, and he said he was gonna get with the engineers, and I think it's gonna be a capital outlet project, because it's gonna probably cost a significant amount of money. But it's been like that ever since the subdivision was built. So we got, the mayor says he's gonna try to make it happen. We're gonna try to see what it's gonna cost with the engineers, and we're gonna try to resolve that problem, because it's been a reoccurring issue for years and years and years. It just didn't start now, because it probably was before I was born.
Mayor,
Well, I got a question.
Mayor, we piggybacking off of that, we're gonna have that same issue on that Eden Drive.
Yes.
Uh,
You're right.
I've got several calls down there, and we need to really look at that and address that issue,
Mhm.
because it might start on Cooper Lake, but it ends on the Eden Drive area.
Right.
And it's constantly flooding over there, a little bit of rain, so that might be a part of it. But if we're gonna start on one end, we need to start on the other end too.
And come in the middle of a District D.
That's where it comes to work with the police jury, because it started, because we inside the city limit, but when you trace it out, it ends up outside the city limit. When I spoke with Ms. Davis, she was in concurrence with me that we need to work together to solve the problem, because it's not gonna do any good for the city to fix their portion of it. And then it's still bothered there. So parish, everybody know the parish is further down than the city, so it's going to start there and come back. But I think we work in tandem together. I think it'd be cheaper and it'd be more ergonomic for us to work together.
Mr. Fisher said he would get with me, and we'll go out there also on, what you're talking about.
Look, when you come to my district, please, Paul.
We will. Yes, sir.
Me too.
I like to recognize our two guys, sitting in, Mr. Jamie Mayo, for cleaning up also, and they are helping the city out. I would like for you all to stand. They can be in the streets doing anything else, but I really appreciate you all. Thank you.
What's her name?
Anything else? I think we have that out of our system. Okay. Item number 6, approval of the minutes for June 12, 2025 to June 30, 2025, or on consent agenda. If there are no objections, then the minutes are approved.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion to approve, regular meeting June 12th.
Since they're on consent agenda, which is, if there's just any objections, if somebody voices an objection, then you'll have to vote on, but that just speeds through it so that you can do it.
Item number 7, consideration of action and or reports of committees appointed of the government body. A, financial committee report.
There was no report today.
Okay. Item 7B, planning and zoning committee report.
Planning and zoning currently does not meet, so there's no school.
Okay. All right. That's, item number 8, report of city officials.
So this is the item where historically the city attorney would give a report as to anything as to the current posture of what we have going on. I can report, and it's going to go across 2 items. I have spoke with the Louisiana Legislative Order with regards to our adoption of the budget. They have told me that they understand the time limits are typically that we have to have it. We are operating on half budget. I spoke with the members of the administration. It's not going to limit us in any way or cause anything to be deficient that the city offers. It'll in no way stop us from being able to do anything. And at this point, they've just said, hey, take the space you need to put together a budget that complies with the administration, that complies with the Budget Act. And so when we get to the budget item, I'll further articulate as to those go. As it relates to code enforcement, I kind of gave an update earlier when we were talking about it. We have met, we've had multiple discussions over an aggressive plan to carry out what was the Code Reform Act that was adopted by the previous council for the members of council who exist here today. And we have an action plan to carry that forward to be able to come to fruition with that, with the hopes that the August environmental court date would be the first court date to populate these things, because we have to have certain 15 or 30-day notices on them and to get the staff in place. I will say that everything has hit the ground running really fast on this stuff. And we've been able to make some headway in helping do what was voted by the council and the government to do, which is to have aggressive code enforcement so that we can take care of these plaguing properties that many of you have talked about.
Who will be the environmental court judge?
So at this point, the environmental court judge still exists because officials exist in their capacity until they're put there. But at this point, as I understand, Ms. Downs is going to be the one who's going to be doing it. She has previously provided the services. I will say this, she is very knowledgeable on it. She did meet with Mr. Stuart Parker, who is a hearing officer in 4 other jurisdictions doing it. The only limit to her before was just that we had nothing that was placed in environmental court. She is apt, ready, and has been prepared to go running on the ground. I will say that for every previous month, she always inquired if there was anything. And she timely and always made inquiry with the clerk, myself, and code enforcement department when there was employment there to see if there was anything to do. We have discussed it with her, and she is ready to hit the ground running.
And I think that's really important for the citizens of Bastrop to know that once we get an active code enforcement department there, we're gonna hit the ground running. And people, you'll have time to correct your issues, and if not, present before the court.
And I will say this, Ms. Downs recently had a child and told me in no way would that limit her. And in fact, was more than willing to come before if we could do it in July and get it going in July, which just due to the delays in the incoming administration, of course, to get the stuff in place. I told her the most practical would be the 1st of August, and she said pick any date in August that would be the first available to get everybody on it, and we will go with that day.
Well, that's exciting news for Bastrop because our city needs to be cleaned up. So this is exciting.
Yes, and very eager to do it, even if it meant that it was 4 weeks after having a child.
Mr. John, can you be a little bit more specific? I have no idea who you're talking about when you say Ms. Downs. So can you give me your full name and what
Yes.
the position will be?
Her name is Ms. Hayden Downs. She is the hearing officer who does the environmental court. She is the administrative law judge for that court to judge anybody and hear those offenses that come before it, which would be code violations. And she has previously reigned as that. Just at the time that she existed, there was no cases coming before. So.
Do any council person have any questions for our police chief or fire chief?
Is the police chief here?
Yes.
All right, I think we need an update, regarding the operation of the police department.
Would you come forward, Chief Reed?
Chief Reed, I know we had, staffing issues, I guess about a month ago. So is all of that resolved?
No, it's not resolved. We still have the same staffing issues. We're going through a period of hiring people. And we have not retained any officers, so we're still at the same level. We have hired 2 officers that are supposed to be attending the academy in August. So, but as far as the numbers is concerned, we still have the same amount of officers as we did.
Are we closing down at any time, or are we able to operate all shifts?
We're still able to operate in the Morehouse Parish Sheriff's Department is still assisting us when we have short areas. So we're still operating, yes.
Couple of questions, Chief. What is the exact number of officers that we have on staff, as of today?
Right now on patrol, we have 8 officers.
And that's just patrol officers, not including maybe like,
It's just patrol officers.
patrol officers. Okay.
Yes.
Is there a 30, 60, 90-day outlook for hiring, new officers or attaining any, more staffing in that time period?
So with experienced officers, it's much shorter. If they're already post-certified, you can go ahead and do what you need to do. You're looking at 15 to 20 days to get them processed in and start working. No experience, they have a long process to go through. They have to go through a review board, they have to have background check, then they have to go to the academy, then they have to be trained. You're looking at about a 9-month process under civil service.
One last question. Are we still patrolling with 2 officers per car, per vehicle, or how are you operating that?
We're operating 1 officer per unit. Some shifts we have 2 officers patrolling, and the other shifts we may have 3 patrolling. And then we have the sheriff department to supplement us with another unit to help out answer calls.
Hey, Chief, I have a question. You stated to Ms. Tappan that at times that the sheriff department would assist us. Whenever they assist, do it come with an invoice?
I haven't received the invoice.
The reason I'm asking because prior he came with an invoice and we didn't know until we actually had the invoice.
Right. I haven't received one for the police department. I'm not sure if the city of Bastrop has received one or what.
Point of information, Ms. Attorney Jones. So when the sheriff department assists the city of Bastrop, are we billed for that?
As I understand, there has at some point been an invoice sent for it. However, payment for those services is just simply voluntary, whether we pay them or not. We're not obligated to pay for additional, because there's no agreement between us and the sheriff's office that we will compensate them for those services.
So we pay them on good faith?
I don't believe we paid them.
You talking about current, not prior? Okay.
Underneath the prior, we paid them underneath the memorandum of understanding that was in place at the time.
Gotcha.
We paid them per the agreement that was in place. It was canceled.
Okay.
And also, we've been working on the budget, and we have a plan for the police department. We'll roll out at a later time. We got with Chief already, so we're gonna keep that plan until we introduce it to you all.
One last thing, Chief. I don't know if it's been mentioned already, but there was an incident a little while ago with officer, one of your officers, and he was
Got to go in the executive session.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Yeah, so, Stoney, I would caution you that when you're dealing with the police department, you're dealing with civil service, there's a lot of rules and there's a lot of things regarding that. If you would want to discuss with me, we can kind of see what can be in the open before we kind of open Pandora's box on that.
No. All I wanted to do was commend him for what he did and how he acted
Okay.
in a particular situation.
Okay.
That was it.
Thank you.
Any other questions you have for the chief, fire chief, or the police chief? Council?
But Mayor, I'm gonna ask, the two young men that stood up, their names are Jakaran A. Vance, Grambling State University, and DeLawrence Wilson from Jackson State University. They recently graduated from Bastrop High, so we wanna commend these young men for actually doing something positive. When you see young men trying to further their education, helping their community, it's to be commended. So thank you, young men.
Okay, chief, fire chief, and police chief, y'all can be dismissed to your families if you like. Thank you. Item number 9, unfinished business. Action on ordinance and resolution introduced at previous meeting. A, resolution 25-2103.
Mayor, I make a motion to reject resolution 25-2103 is pertaining to amending the budget from July 1st, 2024, ending in June 30th, 2025. I also want to recommend that rejecting the operating adoption budget for the fiscal year beginning in July 1st, 2025, and ending in June 30th, 2026.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I'd like to discuss something. I would like these two separated because they are not, to me, supposed to be one resolution. We should have a resolution for the 24-25 and then a new one for the new operating budget. So for future references, Mr. Finance Chair, if that's okay with you and the council, I'd like these separated.
So you want them to come with two resolutions?
Yeah, two resolutions. We need two resolutions. I'm working with the budget, helping them with the budget. I didn't prepare this. I understand what you said. Mr. Jones, you making a note of that?
Yeah, I prepared it every year.
And Mr. Smith?
Come out together.
Okay.
So we need a motion on that?
Do we need to make a motion?
No, that's just always been the will of the council. Anyone I've ever prepared has been separated.
So we got
There.
But tonight we're gonna reject them both as one, but for future references, the staff has said we would prefer that they be separated. Because we might approve one and reject the other.
Right. Call for the vote.
Can I get a vote? All in favor? Any opposed? Resolution fails.
Carry.
Okay, let me carry. These were, okay, resolution carry.
You knew, either you, Mayor, you learned this is the first day, you're doing a great job. I know you're nervous. It's gonna be all right.
As it relates, for 3 years, I've put it up separated.
Okay,
It's
separate.
come out like this. So, correct.
Ordinance 25-4282.
This is gonna be ordinance 25-4282 is your special use permits procedure. We've gone through some of the amendments. I've been working with, policy and to get through the will of how to reorganize the planning and zoning ordinances as we've discussed for a long time to affect the changes that needed to occur. At this point, there are just, I would ask that you just table this to the August meeting so we can conclude those changes, preview them to council members, and be able to adopt it April.
Second.
August 1st.
well, we just gonna table ordinance 25-4282.
To the first regular meeting in August.
I'll make that motion to table it until next month.
Second.
I second.
Motion by Angela Tappan.
Yes, I made the motion.
She made a motion.
Is there a second?
I second.
Councilman D. Green.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Opposed?
So, Mr. Jones, I'm just clarifying. So next month, we will, address the special use permits as well as the new structure for the zoning board,
Right,
right?
that is the legislative vehicle to amend the structures and everything that we talked about before.
Okay.
That's the one we're using that has been advertised, that we'll be able to achieve that. Just want to be able to bring it in wholesome with everything. As you can imagine, we've kind of been running on a treadmill with some things, and want to make sure that we cover everything so that we have something that carries on long past the building. So we can play.
Okay, item number 10, new business, action on proposed new resolution. A, resolution 25-2104, appoint city attorney.
Mayor, if you don't mind me asking, who are the city attorneys that we're appointing?
Civil duty would be Devin Jones. Criminal duties would be Rodney Pierre. Can I get a motion? Do I hear a motion?
Question, before we do it, I need point of information. So where would the environmental court person come in separately?
So the environmental court person receives their duties directly through the appointment by the mayor's office. And it's in the environmental ordinance that was adopted before I ever came here. That's where that was always at. That's where it's always existed.
Okay,
It's
I make
provided-
So we don't have to vote on the department.
Well, I make this motion.
I second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you.
All right. We got B, resolution 25-2105, appoint special counsel for budget and policy legal service, Ricky Smith.
May I make that motion that we accept Ricky Smith as
And I second.
I second.
Any discussion?
I do. Will Mr. Ricky be able to answer the question from the council as well?
Yes, sir. He will be the policy attorney and he's the legal attorney. So we had a problem with that in the past and they just gave it all the same. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. C, resolution 25-2106, select official drama.
So this is your official journal. This is your selection that you make annually. At this point, the only official journal that we have that is applicable based on ethics laws has bids is going to be your Washington Citizen. So that is, at this point, that is the only one who has the ability to do your official journal stuff. And it does the official journal for almost every board in Morehouse Parish.
Could you explain like the selection process, just a kind of brief?
So so you have bids, and we do have 2 papers in Morehouse Parish. One of those papers is solely owned by an individual who is a former board member. So that falls within the ethics period.
So what is that? Is that 2 years?
It's a 2-year prohibition.
Yeah, I wanted, Mr. Bradford paper, but the attorney told me that we couldn't, so we had to do it.
You have a 2-year period for which you can't contract with the city. It's in everybody's ethics administration.
Come to the mic, Mr. Bradford.
I guess it's correction, you can correct it, whatever attorney can come with that. Bradford Morehouse News is a corporation, not Mr. Bradford. Just like I do
Correct.
Mr. Mayo as a corporation. And we can do business with the city, as long as we don't own 25% of the corporation, which we don't. For all those who think it's owned by Mr. Bradford, it's a corporation, we don't own 25% of it. And we can do business with the city.
What's the name of it?
Bachelor, Morehouse Community
Yes, Morehouse.
Publishing Company, excuse me. National Publishing Company. We're a corporation. It's not owned, it's not a sole proprietor, it's a corporation.
And, I mean, I don't wanna get in your
Oh,
business, but you saying you do not own 25% of it?
I only own, me and my wife own 25%, only 25% of the corporation.
So 12.5.
Right, right, we can do business contract, cities can shop, they put anyone they like to, if they choose, now they can go back and do the legal research, but I don't mind.
I just want to say that this year, it passed through the legislature, that you didn't have to wait for 5 years. You only can do it after one. And Mr. Jones, you can look that up.
That's what.
That is correct.
Okay.
That's not the issue is that the registration for the Louisiana Secretary of State registration for Bastrop Morehouse Publishers Incorporated shows the registered agent is Mr. Charles Bradford. It shows the officer is Mr. Charles Bradford. That is the nucleus structure of the business that is going to put them as a substantial officer of the business, which puts you in the ethics provision that says that you cannot contract with them. There's only one officer of the corporation.
Excuse me, Mr. John, we're a corporation, a share-owned corporation. There's many share owners in that corporation. If you go back and say, we can do business as long as we don't own above 25% of the corporation. I can be an officer of the corporation and not own the corporation. I only own 25% of the corporation. This you can get.
Can you explain to, because I barely hear you when you spoke about the officer?
Yes, so the only officer of the corporation is the president and director, Mr. Charles Bradford, who's a former council member within the 2-year period prohibition or anything. That's the controlling nucleus of the business.
So is it 1 year or 2 years?
It's 2 years. It's 1 year. So what they're discussing is you have to be a bona fide newspaper. To be a bona fide newspaper in order to do publications, which is a standard if this ethics issue did not exist. You used to had to publish for 5 years. They've amended it now and it's a 1 year period. However, the overarching is that the controlling officers of the company are a former council person within the 2-year period that prohibits contract.
What I'm trying to say, Mr. Jones, I only own 25% of the corporation. I can do business with you. I done my research. I talked to the Secretary of State, Ethics Board, and everyone else concerning the same matter we have here today.
Mr. John, do we have to select a paper tonight?
You don't have to select one tonight. I can
discuss.
we provided the research that he has and speak with people he spoke with, and I can provide an answer to that. And if there's any business documents that he has that's different than what's reflected here, we can look at that too.
Okay.
Make a motion to table this until the attorney do his due diligence and investigate whether it's legal, or give us some more legal guidance.
I second that.
Any discussion?
Hold up, man.
Oh, go ahead.
Attorney Jones, you
And
want to
there's
finish up?
sometimes if you have business documents that otherwise have not been filed, that are different from what the Secretary of State says, then that can make a different story. So that can give the time and policy to be able to do that.
So we won't fall out of scope, and we just table it until next
We'll
month.
discuss that another time.
Okay,
That's no problem.
let's move on.
Any discussions?
Members, recently here, the only thing I would add is Mr. Bradford had any of the, original documents, like the other
Pull it up to you. Pull it to you.
I'm sorry. Rick Smith here, members, if Mr. Bradford would provide Mr. Jones with his, articles of, incorporation, which that's the, only public document that is required when you set up a, corporation. And that will go a long way to, answer some of the questions that Mr. Jones, needs to research. So if you have your, articles of, incorporation provided to Mr. Jones.
That we have our corporation, that we provide to the attorney in the United States. Again, to also say something, since we talk legal conversation, also know that we're the only legal license publication in the parish. That's also give us jurisdiction for the city to do business with us as well. I've been the only licensed publication in the parish.
Okay, we're gonna table that till further notice. Item,
No, we have.
Call for the motion. Vote.
Call for a motion.
All in favor?
I mean, a vote.
All in favor?
Any opposed?
Motion carries. Thank you.
Motion carried. Item number 10D, resolution 25-2107. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make that, well, first, I think, we probably need to explain what this resolution is for.
Like, for example, like,
It's for, the resolution is for approving MS5 Consultant Group LLC for Chief of Staff Services. That's the motion.
Okay.
I mean, that is the resolution.
All right, well, I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Motion. Any discussion?
I have a discussion. So, I see this as a consulting group, so is it like, we paying like a one-time payment, or we paying multiple people?
No, it's gonna be,
One payment to that
it's gonna be payments to that.
to the company, right?
Any discussion? All,
We got it.
Quick question,
I addressed the comment. I want to-
hold on, Mr. Patrick. Our resolution. Did receive a packet when we came in, today to further explain, what was going on with the, M5 and the, city attorney, issue. The M5 Corporation again belongs to Mr. Jamie Mayo. And I did ask the question whether that was gonna be, is it one person or two people or three people? And to my understanding, the information I got, he will be the sole provider, for the Chief of Staff Services, for the mayor.
Usually when we're doing a resolution, we do this, and then if there's any objection from the public, public comment pertaining to whether this motion should pass or fail.
Yeah, I made it come, I want to make sure you understood. It goes back.
You gotta come to the mic.
Okay, it goes back with what just took place. You talk about corporation ownership. Mr. Mayor, according to this record, put his record up, I already have. He's the LLC owner of that particular corporation. But you finna pass a motion to enter into a contract with him.
But
Excuse me a minute. Check his ownership as well. I'll get you Mr. Mayor. Excuse me, don't get me wrong. What's good for Peter, good for Paul.
But I think the problem here is, it's two different problems. I see what you're saying, Mr. Bradford, but I think what the legal problem that we need to resolve is Attorney Jones is saying it's prohibited within 2 years because you was on the city council. I don't think it's the year, you done overcame all the other obstacles. We just want to make sure that the attorney is telling us that you got a grace period of 2 years. I'm telling you what, I understand what you're saying, but the attorney is explaining, that's when we table it so we can get some clarity from the city attorney. I understand what you're
And
saying.
I'm bringing up the question of ownership, percentage.
can we discuss that?
But I'm bringing up ownership, percentage as well, because that's gonna come an issue later on down the road.
Okay, you want to address the ownership too.
Ownership is very.
Mr. Smith,
The attorney can
jot
look at
that
it,
down.
you gotta look at it.
I get a motion? Oh, second? Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. E, resolution 25-2108. What, Mayor Pro Tem?
I make a motion to reappoint Ms. Angela Mordat.
Y'all hear a motion?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Now we have wait, I'm flying this on.
Did we insert the D and F in here?
You coming in?
Oh, that's later, okay. Item number 11, planning and zoning business.
Your first item on planning and zoning is your request for special use permit for the property located at 607 Warren Drive here in Bastrop. This is the property that we've discussed before. That was subject to the previous meeting. This is, to give you context, this is the individual who was placing a garage in the front of their home in regards to that. I've spoken with the homeowner. I have received what we had in front of us that evening. That is going to be attached to the home. The roof line will be attached to the roof line. It will be
Attorney
attached.
Jones, can you pull that mic up to you? It'll move. No, pull it. It'll come to
The
you.
base of it.
Well, sometimes it's a little funky and starts spinning static. I'm just happy it wasn't static tonight. 607 Warren Drive is the special use permit, or what we would call variance, to allow for the individual to place a garage in front of their home, which is commonly known as a carriage underneath the planning and zoning ordinances in section 8. When it first came to us, that is something that if it is a carport, it may be permitted, but if it's a garage, it is allowed. A garage, different from a carport, is something that is separate and detached. This, upon research and investigation, speaking with the homeowner, the plans for it are to be attached at the roof line, to have a matching gable on the roof, to assimilate to the house. It will be an attached structure of sufficient size to house a car. There are some questions that I fielded as regards to, there are neighborhood covenants and restrictions, and as I stated and will state, neighborhood covenants and restrictions are between private landowners who have deed restrictions or agreements for the subdivision. Affected landowners are the people who are there with the standing to enforce those. The city is not. Planning and zoning is simply to ensure that we have congruent plans. This plan, as it exists with the plans to have the roof and the roof lines attached, takes it out of the carport into a garage and places it in a circumstance where it meets the ordinance. And if it had been submitted in such a manner and fashion, it would have been approved as submitted.
Some paperwork was wrong.
Well, at the time, the realization was, and it was a lapse in that the construction had started and then the permit was applied for. So there was a lot of what is going on here? What do the plans look like? The plans as submitted, as can be approved, is that this will be an attached garage with a matching roof to match the roof line. It will appear as one structure with the home, of which, if you look in section 8.4, delineates out that if it's a carport, it may be permitted, which would require approval. This is something that typically the administrator would approve. But being as that y'all act as that function, it's my advice, it's my finding after the investigation, that this house, this garage, not a carport, a garage, purports to be what it is, will match the roof line, will assimilate to the house. As far as neighborhood restrictions and covenants goes, the city has no standing to enforce that. It is between private landowners. And so I would say that based on as submitted as an attached garage, that it be approved as being within the ordinance and being what they would call by right. It'd be my advice to the council that this is something that this landowner is entitled to do.
So you saying, so Attorney Jones is pointing, so you saying outright, it's supposed to be approved?
Correct. Had it been articulated in the plans that this was going to be an attached garage with a roof line that matches, making it a portion of the house, not detached, then at that point, it is by right. We call it by right. I would say by right, meaning that it meets the ordinance and allowed, and it would typically have been approved by the administrator and not gone to a special use thing. So as it's done, it'd be my advice to the board, and I give advice that this be approved because it is within the ordinance.
So if it was not attached to the house, then it wouldn't have been approved right up.
Correct. This is
Oh,
going to
okay.
have a matching roof line, because then you have a carport situation. And under 8.4, if you look at carport situations, it says may be permanent. That's where you get into may does not mandatory. It means that it can be. It doesn't have to be, but it can be. At that point, it's a whole different ballgame. But when you have an attached thing, and I've heard the concerns and fielded the questions about restrictions and covenants, and that is between private landowners and subdivisions. It's just like Frenchman's Bend and Monroe. The police jury does not get involved if you don't know your yard, as Frenchman's Bend neighborhood restrictions say. The homeowners association gets involved in that. We get involved in ensuring that those properties are consistent with our planning and zoning ordinances. This property is consistent with our planning and zoning ordinances.
So are you saying that we don't have anything to vote on?
No, you don't have to vote on it, but you do in this instance because the fact that there's a moratorium. It has to be voted, but I can tell you this much. The vote is constricted to the fact that our ordinance is entitled this individual to it. Your vote is just simply ceremonious in the fact that there is a moratorium right now and it requires your vote. Voting against it would be voting to not approve something that your ordinances allow and would subject you to higher liability rather than voting to approve it.
Mr. Jones, what does the private landowner, homeowner association, what do those, laws, documents, how does that interfere with, getting it approved through the city?
Homeowner private, so when you get to what we call restrictions in neighborhoods, they come in two various forms. They come in what's called a deed restriction. The person who conveys the neighborhood to people puts it into the deed. Those go into perpetuity. They carry on with the property forever. Whoever it's transferred to, they're transferred with. Then you get into what we call restrictive covenants, is where a plat has covenants on it, and those last for up to 15 years unless authorized by. They're restrictions on property. Those do not convey any standing to the city to enforce those. Those are not accompanied in our planning and zoning ordinances. Those are not our business. Those are two private individuals who are transacting business. Those are enforced by private landowners. Anybody who's affected by the violation or anything thereof, those can sue on that into district court.
So them coming to the council to basically get this disapproved, how, again, and I'm just trying to get a good understanding before I cast a vote on it or anything like that. How does the landowner association, those restrictions they have, how do they then bring it to the city?
It's not the city's business. It is the district court's business. When landowners do things that violate that agreement, that is a suit that you would file in district court as a temporary restraining order or an injunction to keep somebody from doing something. It would be litigated there. Those are two private parties by private agreement have agreed to restrict the land in a manner that they agreed to. It's not one that the city required. It's not one that the city maintains or controls or oversees. That is two private individuals or private organization and private individual, but it's private restrictions between landowners. It's not dictated by the city. It's not governed by the city. It's not controlled by the city.
Well, are you saying that our vote is unenforceable?
Your vote is enforceable because there's a moratorium in place, but I can tell you this much, it's ceremonious in the fact that this person, had the moratorium not been in place and these plans would have been submitted like that, would have been approved by right. So it does require your vote, but you are constricted in the fact that your vote is, a vote against it would be in violation of not allowing somebody to do something our ordinances allow.
Because that was my question. My question was, if it was done through zoning, would it have been approved outright?
It would have been, if submitted in that manner.
May I make a comment, please?
And respectfully, did we measure from the back of the carport to the property line? Because it was my understanding that that was not correct according to the zone ordinance.
So we took a look at the ordinances, we took a look at the restrictions as it relates to the categories, and we were able to obtain and speak with the landowner with regards to it, and every bit of the restrictions were met.
So it was more than 5 feet from the next person's property line?
It was 5.8.
5.8.
Yes, it's over, it's well over.
We were able to do all of it.
Okay. And I asked that respectfully, I didn't
No,
mean anything negative. So now they're going to attach it to their house as where they were not going to begin with.
That is how it is that it'll be attached to the house with a matching roof line, with a roof that matches, and it will assimilate to the house, to match the side.
It will be a part of the house.
Thank you.
Have to be attached.
Yes, which puts it into the garage, so yes, a vote is needed, but it is a vote that is just doing what the mayor could have done had there not been a moratorium.
The structure ain't even sitting on a slab, it's on the dirt and concrete.
Yes, and I will tell you that we investigated that, and the slab, there are the forms to place the slab. Unfortunately, this work was stopped prior to being able to put the slab there.
Right, because he never applied for a permit.
Correct, and I believe that is some of the confusion in it, is that initially this individual made a mistake and began to work without the permit. That has been rectified, that's what this is rectifying, and you will see the full layout of how it looks whenever he's able to get those forms put fully in place, have the concrete structure. It is I can tell you this much personally from having been out there, it will be something that is very fitting for the house, the style, and is something that is within our ordinance.
Okay, but there's no other house out there got a garage right in front of the front door.
So that would be my advisement, is that if this permit would be approved by right, but since there is no administrator at this point, it does require a favorable vote by the board, and my advisement would be to vote favorably for this, because this is exactly what our ordinance says.
What about my petition, the people that signed it? Yes, that don't mean nothing.
That's a court issue.
That's a court issue. That's y'all's deed restrictions or covenants, restrictive covenants, and that's enforceable in court. But as to here, we stay to what is the master plan in the city. That's what planning and zoning is. That is something that could possibly be a cause of action for you in district court, to receive relief there in some manner or form, and not to give a legal opinion on that.
I got a point of information. Both of them is in my district. So I don't want to pick and choose or make no decision, because I want to do what's right by the homeowner and by the law and ordinance. That's why I turn it over to Mr. Jones. I let him do his due diligence, because both of us in my district. So I just wanted to do what's right. So when he went out and he did all the specs and he came back, he said, I'm advising you, Mr. Green, that you cannot reject that permit, because everything that they have done is by right. Because if you reject it,
you will subject yourself and the city to possible legal action for denying somebody the right to do something that the ordinances in the bastard give them the right to do.
When I say this, I thought you said the arguments to the city don't have anything to do with the neighborhood ordinance. And that's what you just said a second ago.
Correct. Your restrictive covenants or any restrictions in the deed that govern your neighborhood are not anything that we can enforce. That's something that the private landowner can enforce.
It means you have to take it to district court.
All right,
It's a district court. Our hands are tied.
Can I get a motion?
I just want my district, oh, you got, that's the homeowners.
We just wanted to say that we did call the, permit off everything. Wasn't aware about the permits, it just slid by me. I'm a grandson, building this farm. We, once they did shut it down, we immediately went, applied for the permit, they told us no. Come find out there is one neighborhood that told me personally, he does not like it, and will not leave one there. That's kind of validating. If y'all don't mind, we would like to build this, we are following under every guideline they told us that it had to be met. We did change, it wasn't just gonna be a freestanding carport, that it had to be attached. We're spending extra money to attach it, tie it into the front of the house. It will actually raise the value to the home, not decrease it, because they add square footage and under beam. So it should actually make the house look a little nicer.
I call for the vote, please.
Is there a motion?
Got your motion?
Motion.
I make a motion.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Approved.
B, approve zoning application for the property located at 131 Elm Street.
Do we have the owners of 131 Elm Street in? What Devin, and pretty much this was my thing last time, Devin, in coming before the council, I just like to know why it's not being approved right now.
Because currently you have a moratorium in place, and even the administrator decision has to be made by the council.
Okay. It's 131, so, yeah. So what do you say, in your hands, Devin? If you like that, then it would be a lot better for you and for myself, being that we haven't had time to discuss it, and the ones that fall in my district, we can table mine until the next meeting.
And that's fine. That will give time, and also it'll give time
For
for,
the new administration as well.
yes.
Can I get a motion?
I make a motion.
I make my own motion. I make a motion that we table this 131 Elm Street. In my district, right? Everybody else can go down district.
Which one you speaking about?
He's just doing, we're just on 131 right now. We
I can
can
go
go
to
the rest of
this
them.
one. I think I got like 4 of them.
And as we get to them, just let us know, and we'll do it that way. All right, is there a second?
Yeah, I second.
Mr. Locke, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
C, approve, special use permit for property located at 340 North Local Street.
That's another one, my district.
You want to go to,
It's just like, yeah, I'm gonna take that as well.
make a motion?
But if you want, we can add them together, 1812 East Madison Avenue, and also 2203 North Odom Street and 107 East Madison Avenue. Those,
They had the alphabet.
okay, so that'd be, C, that would be D, there will be E, and there will be H.
You know, all over the table.
Yeah, I'm gonna table them to the first meeting in August. That way, Kevin and I, as well as zoning, to speak about these, so I don't want to just approve them right up.
So it'd be a motion to table 340 North Locust, 1812 East Madison, Floyd, South Odom,
Yeah.
and
207
203
East Madison Avenue, and then 203 North Odom Street. And so, Mary, you can take a look at them as well.
Give us the alphabet.
Okay, this is B, C, D, E, F, and H.
F and E. So,
I know it's. Y'all tell me.
okay.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Locke, second. Discussion? All,
Yeah, he got it. He got it.
all in favor?
Uh,
Any opposed? That motion carries. Those properties being 131 Elm, 340 North Locust,
I contact all of them tomorrow.
1812 East Madison, 408 South Odom, 107 East Madison, and 203 North Odom will be tabled to the first meeting in August for the approved motion there.
Okay, G to go.
G to the nine.
G,
You got G and I. So your remaining item would be G and I.
G and I.
Oh, G and I.
G to approve special use permit for property located at 501 Fairview Drive. That's over there by Simmons.
it's just to attach your front driveway. Yeah,
Make a motion.
I make that motion.
I second.
Second. All in favor?
Uh,
Any opposed? Motion carried. Item I, approve zoning request for property located at 397 Shady Oak Street.
And I make that motion to approve that.
I second.
Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Item number 12, introduction of ordinance. Item 13, discussion, items. A, Dyson Park grant.
I think I asked this to be put on the agenda. My question is, we started out with $25,000 for the Dotson Park grant. I would like to know what money was spent out of that Dotson Park grant and for what? Now, when we looked at the budget, it listed, it was 12,500 left, so we know it was 12,500 spent. I would just like to know where the money was spent.
Was this the grant that at one particular meeting we was talking about? That's it. When we was talking about, there was an event that took place that the primary used to, it wasn't, I don't want to bias, but it was an event for kids.
No, it was a food truck. I got the
Explain that to me.
The reason why, let me speak about the reason why I'm speaking how I speak. The reason I have no involvement how it was written, I just know what took place because I was involved with being Santa Claus for the kids. So the event itself was contained around kids. Now how it was written, why it was written that way, I can't vouch for it.
Was it in Dotson Park?
No, it wasn't.
Okay, was money used for that particular?
I don't know.
grant? That's the question.
I don't know.
I think that's
The
the question.
question is, it was act,
Because
Because it was my district and I don't know anything about it.
however it was written up as food trucks for whatever purpose, I don't know. But I'm telling you that what it was steaming around, it was for kids. They
I
had,
passed through Dotson Park and I haven't seen the food truck.
it wasn't, it was located up here by the new Walmart. Right in front of, is that Route 21? With a family, with a Dollar Tree, the first Dollar Tree, it was up there.
Yeah.
Now, why it was written for food trucks, I have no idea. I don't know the conversation. I went in the mayor's office. But I'm telling you that I was asked to dress up as Santa Claus, and I did. And there was somebody else dressed up as the Grinch.
hold up. My point of information, Attorney Jones and the clerk that left. The point is not what it was designed for. The question was, when we were speaking, dealing with the mayor. I understand what you're saying,
Okay.
about by kids.
Okay.
No, I was called a liar and
No.
said it didn't, no, I'm not talking about you,
Okay.
I'm talking about, they told me that I forged a document and it did not come out of Dotson Park grant. Because I was told it was not a Dotson Park grant.
Okay.
Well, I'm the finance chairman, I'm looking at the documentation. I don't care what it was at. The point of the matter, it came out of the Dotson Park grant. If they would just acknowledged that and kept it moving, it would have been fine.
Oh.
But I know what you said, it's because it wasn't even Dotson Park, but it's, I'm looking through my notes right now because
Why you look, I want to say that, and I don't want to be, I'm not going to just quote her, but I want to say the previous mayor stated that in this particular budget, particular grant, if it was stimulated around helping kids in some type of way, then she was allowed to, at that moment, give a donation out of the Dawson Park grant. Was it?
Hold on, you said Dotson Park grant. What? There was no Dotson Park grant
I'm
at
talking
first.
about the grant that we talking
But
about.
you just said Dotson Park grant.
Because I'm looking at the paper. Listen, I didn't get the money. I was just saying. That's all I'm saying. But I'm trying to make sense of it because I get it.
Is this the same grant we're talking about?
And all of a sudden, mysteriously, 12,500 is back into the grant again this year because Attorney Jones, let me ask you, Attorney Jones, he the city attorney, and Mr. Ricky Smith, let me ask you something, Mr. Ricky Smith, point of information. What was that grant paid out of?
The Act 397 grant to Dotson Park.
Dotson Park.
Say it again.
Dotson Park.
Okay. But
Attorney Jones.
Well, I'm gonna say this, Mr. Green, I'm gonna probably throw a little gas on this as well. But there were two acts, and reviewing the budget.
That's two acts.
There are two acts that have the same act number, but the description is different. Part of what we're going to do in redoing the 2025-26 budget is to examine every line item appropriation to determine, number one, the use of it and verify the amounts. But when you're reviewing the accounts, you notice that one has Act 397 in Black Grant and has the same amount of money in the previous fiscal year as opposed to proposed. And you also have a line item that says Dotson Park Grant Act 397. So I haven't ascertained that distinction in regards to that and whether or not that was an act that was out of 2023 or 2024, they were different appropriations. But what complicates it is that these state grants are all just productive general fund, and that's kind of puzzling to me as well. But as we go through and redo this budget, we're going to identify those funding items, those appropriations, and determine, what their use were, and we're going to inventory the expenditures from last previous year. So we should be able to answer that question for you, Mr. Green, because they have account numbers attached to these funding line items, and I'm sure the database, if you put that in and corresponding fiscal year, you should be able to get an itemized report on the expenditures for that. I'm assuming. I don't know. I'm just getting kind of up to speed on the database and learning how to use it, but I'm sure the staff that's in the office can provide that information to us.
I have a point of information from the chair, the mayor. Mayor, where did I get that document from?
Which one?
Yes, the Dotson Park.
It was left on my desk when I came in office, July 1st.
So what was the documentation?
Dotson Park food truck, 12,000.
So does that mean that
Oh,
Dotson Park has a food truck running around? That's just a simple question.
I know, no. Attorney,
I think it was an event.
Event?
Listen, you gotta call the previous mayor, though. I'm just trying to bring some sense to it, all of it, as best as I can, so, because I wasn't involved in it. I'm just trying to say.
I'll give you a little bit more, I get a bit more specific. Okay, despite whoever give you a grant, when we do the budget and you put it in a certain particular item, it came in, it says, I don't care who gave it to you. If it's for Dotson Park,
Right.
you gotta use it for that purpose.
Right.
And my point of information for the Attorney Jones, because I was accused of forging a document. I'm really, and when you saying something, I don't care what it was for. I don't go behind those doors, those glasses. Where did I get those documents from, Attorney Jones?
You sound upset.
Where did I get those documents from?
This came from the city.
Did I draw those documents up?
Unless you bought a computer from last time
So I got it from the clerk of court.
Got it
I mean, from the clerk, right?
It came as a public record, maintained by us. It is a record of the city of Bastrop. The Dotson Park money was established through an act. In that act, the specific appropriation, it's a legislative act by the legislature. It's called Act 397. That one only has blight in it. It's been trying to trace it back to where it comes from. There is a separate act that I have received a copy of that was I believe it's Act 197, which is from a previous term. That money was an appropriation with the earmark that it'd be used for Dotson Park.
And it wasn't you for Dotson Park. I'm just asking.
It was used to answer your question, I'll answer it literally. It was used to provide money to an individual to provide food truck services for a sponsorship program that had kids.
I'm through with the conversation. That's in the past. I just want to clear my name because I'm elected by the people and I'm an honest person and I don't care what it was for. If it was dealing with kids, the only thing that I said that it came from Dotson Park grant, and you're not supposed to use the grant that was in Dotson Park. But they told me it was no Dotson Park grant. But you know, I knew it was gonna come out because we do a budget every year and you have to put down each grant that you receive, and you have to do an itemized deal of what you spend it on. That's what I was waiting on. That's when I didn't say anything. I just say, at the beginning of the year, we're gonna have to do another budget. Therefore, I'm gonna see the breakdown of the grants. And I'm all for kids, and I don't have no problem. The issue's not even the food truck. The issue was previous administration accused me of something that I didn't do. Because I brought the point out, because if you allow people to just, and this mayor too, you can't be moving money around when the city council did a budget and we done allocated it somewhere. If you're not gonna hold people responsible, don't, because you know of it's beneficial towards one person or one particular group. You gotta be steady, even-handed, and you gotta be fair and transparent with everybody. Because if you're not gonna do it in this situation, don't cry when somebody else do it again. So we're the legislators, and if we're not gonna divvy out the money, and if we're gonna allow the mayor just come in and say, I'm gonna move money and do what I want to, it's gonna be a problem.
But I have a question to this, and just to pick back up there. I hate that you was lied on, whatever they spoke on your name. So they're the point of information, because we can't catch gone. So being that I like it, but being that it was spent out of the Dotson Park grant, and the administration will allow to do so, where are our next steps?
So I will tell you this. I have, as a professional resource, an individual who is a grant writer who submits these things, who has reported back to us on several deadlines that are due on grants. And currently, both those grants are $25,000 grants. It was elected to be taken $12,500 at a time, and then another $12,500 at a separate time. The process to receive those is to submit your reimbursement receipt, to submit your receipts to show you spent the $12,500. There's currently a July deadline on submitting those that we're working feverishly towards getting done, that I've been able to use this person to help us get this done. It's not being charged us or anything. It's just a professional contact I have to help out in the interim from the transition. And what you will receive back is the state may say that was not a liable expense. If that becomes something that is received back from the state, that would be something that will come to this council and this administration immediately. I think the determination on what's all being debated about what is going to be allowable use of it will be something that will be answered by the state. And even if the state does say that it's allowable use, it's still subject to discernment by the city council and the government and the spending of the money as the ability to discretionarily use funds in a way that was not seen fit to be used by the city council. It was used in a manner that the city council didn't approve.
And that's my thing, I know,
Right, that's my question.
That's
My question is, being that outside of Mr. Doty, we didn't allow that spending. So to come back, that it wasn't spent, dispersed correctly,
It wasn't.
It's gonna trigger, the legal downfall that will be, it will trigger an audit finding that grant money was spent in a way that it could not be used. And that will attribute to the people who facilitated the use of that money, of which is not this council.
and that's my thing, Dawson Park
we gotta be
needs
clear.
equipment right now.
I gotta be clear. So you said the people that allowed that money to be spent, so I'm just going off to say, the last administration, the person,
Administration, not the council.
the last administration outside the city council.
Yes, so when an audit finding is triggered by your auditor, they would research it. That is,
I don't wanna be lied on like council first.
No.
So I'm just.
no, it would roll back to the individual who authorized that expenditure.
Mr. Jones, I'm trying to get forward on this Dotson Park grant, and there have been a lot of confusing phrases, words, action being tossed around. And again, I'm trying to catch up because I want to understand what's going on with this. And then we got to move it real fast. And so what I'm trying to find out, is this a $12,500 grant, or was it a total $25,000 grant? Was it one grant or two grants?
So it is one grant. It was allowed to be taken in two manners. You could take it as $25,000 upfront, or you could take it as $12,500, half of the grant money up front, spend it, submit your receipts in the following year. If more money was appropriated, you could potentially receive more, but you would at minimum receive the other half of the grant. So the people who took it in two payments were taking it.
You're saying people, you're talking about the administration.
Correct. Or anybody else who received grant money underneath that act. That act is approximately 400 pages. There's Morehouse Parish Police Jury received money in varying amounts also.
Yeah, but we're just talking about the
But
Dotson
as it
Park.
relates to us, the rationale to take it in two was because if there was more money given out, you could get more. If you took a one-time payment, you only got the one-time payment.
Okay, so the $12,500 that was spent.
That's half of it.
Right, so.
So should receive another half of it.
It's in the
Right,
budget
so
already.
has the documentation been provided to the state for
So the
that
doc-
$12,500 use?
So during the transition, I inquired with a grant writing professional if we had submitted that documentation. The deadline to submit that documentation is approaching quickly. We have the documentation to submit so that we can submit it through the portal to them. So at this time, the answer to your question, the short is no, it has not been submitted, but yes, it will be submitted.
Okay.
And see, those two different acts. One come from Mr. Francis Thompson and one come from Mr. Fisher.
Well, that's Quilty. The acts actually are not attributable to those people. It's just the representative who advocated for us to get the money that
What
way.
I was getting at is, District 8, that fence that was done over by, Jackson Park, that $8,800, it came out of one of those grants. That was on District D Council, that's correct. Once you say that, I know it wasn't on you, but I'm just saying you benefited from it.
So that's what that kind of brings, that brings it to where it's at, is that we received half of both of them. Those grants were put into the thing. We're in the process of submitting paperwork to get the other half of them. If there is something that's improper about them, it'll be an audit finding. That audit finding will come back on the person who authorized it, to summarize it.
One last question. Does these grants, or this grant, this $25,000 grant, I remember hearing something about an E grant. Does that Peak grant relate to this grant?
That's next. That's
The
next
Peak,
item.
those are two separate grants. The Peak grant was one that was related to blighted properties.
And this one was, that was the one that fixed
You
it.
get on that?
But that's the next one.
Yeah, but what I understood, what I heard, that the Peak grant was related to the 12,500 that was spent on the food truck. That's why I brought it up.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think they both came at the same time, but as far as reimbursements go, the reimbursements would be attributable to what the authorized grant was for and show that it's related to the reason the grant was given and the purpose of the grant. And so as far as where they mingle together, I don't know. I've heard a lot about them. We'll find out, is what I can tell you.
Finance chairman, I'm telling you, they was, I'm telling you.
So Jackson Park received
Jackson Park
It
received
came out.
8,000, I don't quote me right off the top of my head, but it was over $8,000 from that grant.
It was done correctly.
Yes,
I'm
and
ready.
I think that that's where Mr. Smith and myself are working
Yeah.
with us together, with the administration and with our professional contacts to be able to ensure that whatever money is left gets to the city of Bastrop so it can be spent in the manner it was given to us, to enrich Dotson Park, to enrich blight enhancements, to take care of blight and spend it in the manner that exists and to ensure that exists with us. And we can work together as a team to get it accomplished.
Don't forget Carter Park in my district.
I think that was done before.
Okay. Item number B, Peak grant allocation. Okay. We want to see Tally, Deron Tally.
This is so item 13C is the inquisition about the video contract as stated, it's placed on there. From the legal standpoint, I have reviewed this in depth prior to today's date, and what I can report to the council is that Mr. Ron Talley's company provides the video and website services for the city. It is not operating underneath the contract. It is operating underneath what is called a professional service. As a professional service, you can sell it month to month. And currently, that's where we're at. We're on a month-to-month basis with Mr. Talley. If we pay him for the month, then he provides the services for the month. If the administration or the council decides that they do not wish to pay him for purchase his services, then it's just that simple. There is no contract in place. There was a proposal outlining what those professional services would be if they were purchased for that month. But that's how they're purchased.
But we never voted on that, right?
It was never voted on, but in order for it to be a contract, the city would have had to vote it to authorize the mayor to enter into contract with them. There was never a vote to authorize the contracting of services. This is what we call, and it's something that I don't want to take everybody into the weeds, but it's called the professional services, where you can either contract for those services for a term and period, or you can sell those services for a set period.
Without the council.
Without the council.
But then, point of information, so how much is that service monthly?
I would have to review the contract, but the last check that I saw was for $2,000. It appeared to be a $2,000 monthly service with the.
$1,000.
And so the reason I asked, because even if we go back to the Dotson Park grant, I thought we had put something in place that didn't allow the administration to spend over $5,000 just to come before the council, at least before you speak. And I asked previously, if the administration spend over $5,000 while coming before the council, what can take place? And I was told nothing.
Correct. And
So what's the point of putting something in place if nothing can happen when it do take place?
so when it was put in place, it was put in place as the will of the council. I've explained many times, and Mr. Smith will be with us now to also help explain. And sometimes when we get that dynamic of how does it work, it helps to have somebody here to help explain that. You can put in place the broad procedures. When it comes to budget, that is your strongest tool. I've said that since I've come here. I've always told you that your strongest tool is the budget. Once you approve a budget, if the answer for spending budgeted funds ends with the council making the decision, It's not a procedure. You can't, it's like almost you get to choose many as it goes. So what you can put in place is hey, if we have over $5,000, you have to do X, Y, Z. You have to have these bids, you have to have that, and you can put the process in place, but you can't control the answer once it's allocated.
So that's not what we did previous?
Y'all put in place a thing that said they couldn't spend more than 5,000, that the council would have to approve the expenditure of more than 5,000, which leaves the answer to the council. It's, and what we'll work with, and where you see this at is you see this a lot where, in other councils where they say, hey, we have the policy and procedures that if you're going to go out and do X, Y, Z, I know the bid law says it has to be more than this amount, but we're gonna go lower than that. If you want to spend more than 5,000, we want that you have to have 3 quotes, that you have to follow all these. If you don't follow that process, you violate ordinance, you subject yourself to the penalties of violation of ordinance, which is ultimately malfeasance.
That was for bid. That was just for bid.
It can be for anything. It's just like if you could do the same thing for hiring people other than officials. You could say, hey, if you don't go through this process, but we have a process that we put in place to hire people. If you don't follow it.
So we need to do that in the ordinance form, you say?
You need to put, if you want to put in place a procedure, but if the procedure is that you can't spend those funds unless you ask us for permission, that's not
See,
appropriate.
because I think that was the will of the council, last administration, and the fact that if it was put in place, then we won't be asking questions about a Jackson Park grant.
I think if, and I really feel over the course of the tenure, if you put in place procedures, say, hey, is there 3 quotes? What, if we're spending this amount of money, we want to see something that says, hey, we just didn't go out and get the highest price from one person. There's a procedure in place to say that we vetted this, we did this, but if you allocate funds and the end answer is after those funds are allocated by your budget, your biggest tool that the council has, that you still have to come back to us and ask us for permission to spend it, then there's where the issue is.
Well, I got a point of information. And it's just going forward for transparency and for peace, Mayor. The new first day peace. The content and the reason that we put that in place, everybody was under the impression, everybody was on one accord. That reason we put that mechanism in place because we want you to come back before you spend over 5,000. But hold on, let me finish this, what I'm saying. But I see what you're saying about that, but just for future references. If you go over 5,000, to keep peace, because it ain't gonna be no peace. Whether it's this man, see, that's what people misunderstood. It's not the person, it is the seat. So I never attacked it, I'm talking about the seat and the procedure. It goes for the last mayor, this mayor. So if you go over 5,000 and you know we did some, and you know that that's what we want you to do, to come back before us. And if you continue to be a habitual offender and you continuously go outside of that scope, then it's gonna be a problem. Even though legally you can do it, but fundamentally, and if you are operating on an honor system to get along, because we supposed to be we separate bodies, but we supposed to be in the best interest of the city, and we stewards of the money. And if we give you the leeway to do something, and you know that if something gonna cost you 8,000, and you just gonna go ahead and do it. I know if it's an emergency, but you just continuously say, forget the will of the council, it ain't gonna be nice.
Yeah. Question. When we get our bills,
Sure you won't do that.
our summary each month, and we see a line item that's continuously like that $2,000, can we stop?
Not if it's allocated.
You can't do it, because once you approve the budget, you approve that line item.
Correct.
Only time the administration has to come back before is if they exceed that particular line item. Correct. Anything within that, you can't. The only thing you can do is you can lower the administration spending, and then if they get to spending over the amount that's allowed, and they have to come back before the council. But outside of that, I always said this is where we hold our power.
That's your biggest power, and I've always said that from day one. In the way, and it was, at the time, there was categorical expenses at the end of the year that we would have in an amended budget that were 100%, 200% over what had been spent. And the goal was is to express, hey, before we expend the large items, come talk to us about it, so that we're not well over. That was the real will and intent of the council, to say, hey, have a discussion.
And just to add, Councilman Green, the issue that has historically been happening is that these budgets have been overstated by, average of anywhere from 15 to 30%. What we plan on doing is to give you a budget that's not more within that 5% variance. But we're going to also do mid-year budget adjustments every quarter, so you won't run into this situation. We're going to give you a year-to-date. That way you can compare. I'm going to give you an example. The first time we'll sit and do a budget adjustment will probably be the second month of the second quarter. At that time, you will have year-to-date from, so that quarter will be July, August, September. So you have year-to-date September 30th, and you'll see that amount. And you can look at it and see, just in a perfect world, we should have spent 25% across the board.
Right.
And any variance that you see that's greater than that, you can go, okay, well, we'll come to you with a mid-year budget adjustment. Vice versa, if it's only 10%, and it just depends on that item, because some things are expended not on a monthly basis, but you have that to ask those questions.
I think the only thing we're asking for is transparency.
We're providing that information on a quarterly basis, giving you year-to-date. You'll have it.
Okay.
And then you can ask those questions, because that'll be your baseline.
Because year-to-date keep up with it.
Right, we'll keep every quarter, we'll report.
I actually like that.
That's a year-to-date, and you can examine it. And you'll notice when we do this budget, it's gonna be a little bit different than you're accustomed to. It's gonna be a little bit more detailed, and it's gonna be a lot better organized. And the problem that comes in is eventually we're gonna have to change the way the budget is prepared. Give you an example. When you look at the budget, you have a salary line item. And if you look at the legislative auditor chart of accounts, that's personal services. And when you get to salaries, you probably have 5 object codes under that. You got regular salaries, temporary, overtime, and things like that. Right now, you only got salaries.
Right.
But in that salary, you got to account for overtime,
everything.
things like that. We're eventually going to delineate that. So it'll be more detailed, so you have a better picture of what's going on. The way it's being done now is just, it has these overbroad object categories that are overstated, and you have this issue to where if you adjust the budget at the end, you're gonna have the administration making these changes without, being transparent to the council.
And I think the previous, they kind of just look at the previous budget and continue to budget as is. And that's what I was stating last time, like the numbers of employees might change, but the number that they budgeted for didn't change.
And that's one of the first things you're gonna see that's different from Mayor Moore approach to doing the budget. You'll see that initially when we rolled it out.
Okay. That was my item. And I know we've resolved a lot of the issues. But my thing, in November, December, we brought Ms. Hart in, and we discussed all the ways that we could spend the ARPA funds. We decided that each district would have the $55,000 to spend at their discretion. Because it was ARPA funds, it did not fit under the regulations as money coming out of the general fund. So you did not have to go out and get, 2 bids or 3 bids? We weren't under those stipulations. We were trying to give just the average working man, you from the community that could do the job and do it right. So when we heard last month that the money was washed, and I'm not supposed to say that, but quote, it was told to us that it was quote, the money was washed. We were all very alarmed because we knew that this money was allocated and was not supposed to be washed. Once it was washed, it becomes very stringent regulations. So that's where we were with some items that we had did some expenditures on. So I was very shocked. Then turned around, I was very upset that this money was washed. That was not the will of the council. We would not have spent 3 or 4 hours here, sitting here with Ms. Hart, trying to figure out what to do with the money. You know, so something was done that was not our wish, and I just need that on the record.
I got a point of information, Mr. Jones. Ms. Tapp,
Yes.
when I went back and looked at the tape, and it said the money was washed December the 30th. That's what that was said, December the 30th. And we passed the budget when?
October.
So if you wash the money December the 30th, see where I'm going? And you got us up here all this time talking about ARPA money, because we thinking we got ARPA money, but you say you don't wash the money at the beginning of the year. I'm confused now. We passed the budget and we talking about ARPA funds. Even you put on the contract ARPA fund money. Everybody's still under the impression that it was still like we passed the budget. But if you didn't watch the money, I shouldn't say watch, but that's the word that was used. No, if you didn't did something with the money, which I think the insurance was paid with it somewhere. I don't have the exact date. But my point is, if you didn't get away with the money, and the city council is still sitting here, along with the attorney, because he's writing it, he's writing out the other stuff on it. But the money has been done away with.
Already.
Can you explain that, Mr. Jones?
I think that what should have happened, and I might be wrong, but I think it should have been created a line item for each district, the money in the budget. Because the ARPA guidelines was it had to be obligated by, it was allocated when she presented, when the last administration presented the list, but it had to be obligated by, meaning that in contract or ready to spend by December the 31st.
Not spend, but allocate.
So it was like conversion to two. So once you allocate something, that means you have a list of your spendings. And you gotta be obligated, meaning you gotta have contracts put in place ready to spend the funds. So what we should have did was created a different line item or a budget amendment to put those funds in. Because if not, if you leave it in ARPA and if it's not obligated, then you would have lost it by December 31st.
Let me clarify something, Councilman. Go back and look at the meetings. We got an extension.
Right.
If you got an extension, what you gonna get an extension on something that's already been washed?
You didn't get an extension on December 31st.
You got an
Extension when?
You got an extension on your audit.
Yeah,
On the audit, hold up, but when did the money has to be?
December 31st.
December 31st.
It had to be obligated. I was trying to tell you guys last meeting.
It had to be obligated by December 31st.
And I stated this. That's why former Councilman Bradford,
Well, that ain't what Miss, okay. You got a hard cap. I talked to Ms. Hart. I talked to them.
I was trying to explain that.
There was
the chairman, I talked to him.
There was an extension sometime in March. A lot of places relapsed and they said, hey, if you can go ahead and get this off. But that was not announced until March. Initially, it was all December the 31st, but it was just to recapture back. But at the time, nobody knew from December the 31st till that date in March that you could get an extension.
That's why we kept talking about the ARPA money.
Correct. And so, as Mr. D. Green explained, and he explained it very articulately, very well, it had to be obligated, which means you either had to have it under contract or it had been spent.
And so what the previous administration tried to do, from my opinion, what the previous administration did was they went ahead and spent it instead of losing. But once they spent it the way they did, it rolled over. The assist stayed into the general funds, which now create this confusion what we have with. We thinking that we have $250,000.
Because it was told to us, and that was on our CA,
A lot of
that it was
stuff was
ARPA
told to us.
fund.
Yeah.
So
So that's what we thought.
I
So
agree.
the,
Me too.
I'll just say, Councilman Green, you did your CEA, right?
It was
What did you say it come from?
ARPA funds. But we
So
didn't
you
know.
thought, you
No.
didn't know,
Listen.
but that's what I'm getting at. So it was watched December. If it had been open and transparent, you would have known
Right.
that the money was there. That's
Right.
what I'm getting at.
Right.
No one
Okay.
knew that you had done it. That's why we kept operating the way we was going.
well, so,
And I understand what you're saying.
so
I think
I
the
talked
bottom
with,
question is, do we have monies, each councilman, do we have monies for our district?
yes.
Come on,
But we are
now.
stringent.
No, you still have the same regulations whether it's ARPA or not, because you can't give money to, any money, ARPA or regular, without the Louisiana budget, the Louisiana constitutional restrictions on donating property to private people. Mr. D. Green had explained it perfectly. It's probably one of the best explanations I've ever heard.
Yeah, because
I want to stand up and give a platform, but
Because I'm assuming, Ricky, you might correct me if I'm wrong. I don't understand that if we do a line item for each district, we can label it as ARPA.
here's where the confusion has come out.
Yeah, you can't. See, I want to address something from the onset, which is part of the problem, which moving forward, we're going to try to correct. Whenever that federal money came in, it should have been given a funding code that's separate from the general fund.
Right.
It should have been, if you look at the chart of accounts, general fund, they recommend funding code is 000. Federal funds, I can't think of the actual code, but say it's 300. That should have been put into the budget. So anytime that you do a means of financing swap, is the proper term instead of washing, you would have had to get approval from the council to do that because you're amending the budget. So what you would have done is took the line item that you earmarked for federal funds and do a means of financing swap with the general fund, and then you have matching allocations for expenditures. So that expenditure would have been, I don't even know what it was, insurance payments or whatever.
Yeah.
That would have been an expenditure category, and then you would have had expenditure categories for each district. So that's part of the problem, because what I've noticed is that it seems like general fund, it seems that funding code is a catch-all for everything.
Because the funding code will also keep up with what's being spent out of that particular.
If it's done correctly. Again, like we talking about those Dawson Park monies, that should have had a different funding code. Because when you look at your balance sheet and then you look at your budget, when you have your means of financing broken down, which we're gonna attempt to do, but we're gonna do the best we can.
Well, my question again, Mr. Smith now, do each councilman, transparency, do we still have funds available for
Yes.
our district?
Yes, because what happens,
It's just not considered ARPA no more.
no, it's general fund.
It's just not considered ARPA.
So what happens when you look at your budget, it's not an revenue item. It's when you don't expend money in the fiscal year, it goes into the fund. So you have to appropriate it from the fund. It won't come out of whatever the projected revenues are. So, and then you'll show kind of artificial deficit because there's no mechanism to carry forward money, and the way the budget is structured to earmark that is money that's carried forward from one fiscal year to the next. So it just deposits back into the fund balance and you just reallocate it.
Attorney Jones, I got one question for you, because I think we got some very bad news when it comes to that ARPA money. We're probably gonna lose some of that ARPA money because it was not, hold up, let me finish. I'm gonna let the attorney explain to you what happened.
Okay. So what you're talking in regards to is what Mr. D. Green said, is that on December the 31st, it either had to be obligated, which means one of two things. You either had to have a contract, under contract, or you had to have it spent. You had to purchase it. When it came to the video services, which were professional services, the original ARPA plan had to purchase for 24 months worth of at $2,000 a month for $48,000. That was not under contract, so it had to be spent prior to December 30, January 1 or December 31st, last day to do it. The only amount that was actually obligated was there was a $2,000 payment in January for that month. It was paid as a month by month when it should have, that amount of ARPA money that was in that item was 48,000. All of that was managed to get obligated to meet the deadline was going to be approximately $2,000. So 46,000 is probably going to go back.
So that's what happened. So what the last administration tried to do was try to go into professional service for that $2,000 every month because they didn't want to come before the council and get approved.
It was, so correct. And I will tell you what they referred to that as. And I had never addressed it because it's nothing that I had ever addressed or opined because it's called the professional service loophole. It does not sound great. It's where the professional services are outside the bid law, and if you pre-buy months worth of service, then you have to do it. But the only way you can obligate it, since there is no contract, is you have to pay it all in full up front. So it was either have a contract or pay it all in full up front.
Well, technically, we don't. Well, we'll lose it, but being that we haven't spent the 46,000, because what we have to do now at this moment, we have to decide if we want to continue to go with the professional service for $2,000, or we just say,
well, if you don't go, whether you go with it or you don't go with it, you can't use the ARP money to pay it.
Right, I understand it.
Right, but
we don't lose it. We just don't pay that particular entity $2,000 a month no more.
Correct.
It's a month-on-month basis.
But the recapture for whenever you submit your ARP receipts will be that.
I get what you're saying. It's gonna go back because it's not a contract, but the guy that's doing the
Yes, we're not obligated.
Right, you're not obligated to that. So what I'm saying, we decide to just say, hey, we're gonna cut our losses now, instead of paying these $2,000 monthly, we can.
It's just like a straight talk phone. You didn't pay for minutes that month.
Because we don't have the funds now. It's gonna go back, so we might as well cut the service.
I'm ready to move transparency.
Okay.
I have a question for you, please. Again, I'm trying to really understand what we're talking about. ARPA seems to be dominating all of these meetings, ARPA funds, and with them, what was the term you used, Mr. Smith?
The means of finance and swap.
Yes, means of finance and swap. How long are we gonna continue to use that? Because if it's gone into the general fund, again, ARPA, from my understanding, we shouldn't even be talking about ARPA unless you investigated something that was used under ARPA funds.
Well, we have to talk about it, Mr. Loader, because some of our contracts that we did on CA, it was under the ARPA.
Yeah, that's
But me, the financial swap, people do that all the time.
You use means of financial swap out to fund that. And I would
That's
tell
a
you,
nonprofit you do because you gotta, just say if you over budget, under budget, you can use means of financial swap, take money from elsewhere.
and I will say one thing that caused a lot of the confusion was when the new budget came out, there was no line items for the districts on there. And I wasn't in the budget preparing process. I had to tell you based on historical, the budget preparing did not take into account that because historically it hadn't been done that way for 30 years. I would have to guess, but I would say it just didn't make it because it hadn't been like that the years before.
Mr.
But it
Jones,
still exists.
To finish up my question, what I'm asking about again is the ARPA fund. I don't want to have to keep asking about that because again, if these funds have gone into the general fund, then again, if you go back to the CEAs has ARPA on it, right?
That was to denote the category that was to be amended into the general fund to denote that those means of financing swap funds came originally from ARPA.
So they are correct as is, those CEAs that already been done under the ARPA money.
Well, it's not ARPA money, it was means of financing swap money that originated from ARPA. So it's actually money that came from surplus created by ARPA paying for normal operating expenses. But how you attribute it back to where it came from was by listing it as funds that were originally ARPA funds that were means of financing swap.
Okay, so one last question. The payment to Miss Mary Hawkins, we talked about that. And how was that payment listed?
That payment is listed as originating out of ARPA, but which is money that is in the general fund as a means of financing SWAT.
So you're gonna pay her, but it won't be ARPA, but it will be coming out the general fund,
It comes out of the general fund.
as long as she get paid.
Yes.
Okay.
I believe that
Item
takes us,
14.
this takes us to item 14. As it relates to item 14A, Ms. Mary Hawkins, that we have spoken to her and that she indicated that everything was fine. She had a speaker's request. Because she had a speaker's request and it was timely, it was placed on the agenda, but she has indicated to the administration, myself, that she has been satisfied with what has occurred and that payment is coming to her. So if we could just pass that item. That's 14B.
Reverend Jeffrey Jones.
Reverend Jeffrey Jones, 1750 Robinson Pasture, Louisiana. I wanted to speak on, first of all, I'd like to congratulate the new mayor and oncoming, the new city council.
Thank you, Rev.
It's been very interesting tonight. Very interesting tonight, but I am optimistic. I am optimistic because I see that we have a feisty council members, young and seasoned council members. And with them being feisty as they are, and the new administration being young as he is, and I see we done added an extra attorney to kind of collaborate and get an understanding with all of these things. That gives me the spirit to be optimistic about the city of Bastrop. With that being said, I come to speak on nuisance basic issue over in District E. It's got a lot of what I want to speak about already been spoke about when y'all discussed the new city code enforcement and how y'all are getting the administration together. So that would take care of some of that. But dealing with animal nuisance issues over there on Robinson because of the overgrown properties that's on Robinson, dealing with a lot of overgrown rats and overgrown raccoons that's invading the privacy of the citizens over there on Robinson. Mine's my property, for sure. I talked to my councilman, and he was very helpful when I asked him about it. And he suggested that he had some coon traps, and he brought them over to show that he was trying to make sure his district was taken care of right. So he bought the coon traps over. Matter of fact, he bought 2 of them over there. And I took it upon myself to bait those coon traps where I can get some pictures. I have pictures in my phones of the large rats, pictures in my phone, the coons. So I was able to trap the coon. And I showed my city council. And he told me to bring the issue up with the new administration when the new administration comes in. So I did trap, matter of fact, I trapped 2 coons, and I'm not a coon trapper, but I did what I needed to do to trap them, to get my evidence. So after I trapped them, I didn't give them away, I didn't kill them. I just talked to them real good, tell them to stay off my property. And believe it or not, they hadn't been back on my property.
They scared.
Yeah, because when he got loose out of that cage, he went back over there to the bushes. I told him to stay over there, because I'm gonna get them bushes cut down and you can move on to another neighborhood. But that's one of the issues I wanted to, I don't know if the city code is involved with overgrown city properties. Is that something that the city code enforces? And because the previous administration, I talked to the city code officer, and I want to know why, what was the issue? Was it that he wasn't properly staffed. The reason why a lot of these requests was not answered.
What else he gave you?
That he wasn't properly staffed.
Well, that's the answer he gave you?
No, I'm asking.
Oh, we was asking the same thing.
Yeah, I'm asking because he was saying that he gets lots of calls, but he seemed like he was solo.
What address is that?
That's, my address is 1750 Robinson.
Come out where the property is.
It's across from my street and all down my street. Yeah, it's all down my street. It's overgrown really bad.
So them properties is adjudicated, do you know if they're adjudicated?
I don't know. That's what I'm here tonight to find out, if they're adjudicated. Because if they are adjudicated, then if we're understaffed with the city, then I can get a team. I can get a team because that's just how much I believe in my community. I can get a team and I can get the equipment, be it that, I can be paid for it, and I can clean up any adjudicated property over there on Robinson.
You gonna do it for free?
No,
I'm asking questions.
So I'm just asking, I'm asking these questions. How does that work?
Do you know who own those properties?
I don't know who owns it because it's no houses on them, a lot of those land.
It's right in front of the house, all the way down to Smith.
Yes, a lot of land on
the left side.
Because if it ain't adjudicated, it's too much. There is a procedure that the city have to follow in order to do anything to it. But if it's adjudicated, then.
To answer your question on one of them, Mr. Jones, you told me right, it wasn't properly staffed.
Okay.
It was not properly staffed.
Okay, so
And the city they're working on that feverishly right now.
Okay, so I am.
Probably stay one person? If one, yes.
He did mention.
Probably stay. Right.
So if they are properly staffed, what is the procedures? How long does that take?
Well, see, and the problem, Mr. Jones, the problem is he did retire. Mr. McDuffie, he retired.
Okay.
So now, since we have the new mayor, he is in the process now of getting his team together. And we were talking about it earlier. Within the next 30 days, hopefully he will have his team assembled. So give us 30 days to get all our ducks in a row.
And when you say staff, just for point of information, the problem is what really is not what public works do. When you talk about staffing, we always have one code enforcement.
Yes.
The problem is you gotta enforce the code.
You gotta do
So the
work.
problem was not understaffing, because that's all you dedicated to all day, every day, is code enforcement.
Right.
The problem is that it was not being enforced, and I think the new mayor said he's gonna come in and make sure that the code's being enforced, because you don't need 12 to 13 code enforcement officers. All you gotta have is one officer to go out and solve problems. When you see it, nobody should have to call you, because that's your job. You ride around, you see what's going on. If you see a person is in violation of city codes, you don't have to wait on a call. That's being proactive instead of reactive.
Right.
So it's not that being understaffed, it's just that you gotta get out. If you're gonna get a code enforcement officer, let's make sure that we give them the tools they need, and let's mandate they go out and do and perform the job that they sworn to do. I think that is the problem. That was the problem I'm not gonna speak on what transpired in the past. I just hope going forward that we get a code enforcement officer that's gonna really get out and enforce the code. Because that's all they do every day. And they got a secretary, so they don't have to come in and do the work in the office. The job is to get out and enforce the code.
Right.
Because we got a code enforcement, they have court. We pay an attorney to come up here every year. I mean, every month. You have to pay her because they come up here. It's not her fault that she don't have any customers. She don't have anybody that's coming in the court. It's got to start with code enforcement. It's a domino theory. You start with code enforcement and you work your way up. But for the last 2.5, 3 years, I don't think we done have about 1 or 2 people in court.
Right.
Yeah, wow. Yes, sir.
Mayor, I did, after Mr. Jones and I talked, I did call the wildlife and fishery in Monroe. And they said basically they can't do anything with those coons. But there are people in West Monroe and Rayville that will come in and put those same traps down and monitor those traps. So I will be discussing them this week, but I called them. So we have people in the area that will come in. And I know you have something on your area, and I meant to call them since, it's some area, some people in Rayville that will come in.
Alrighty, last, I got one more thing, last issue, I wanted to know what was the reason why the west side of town is so dark? The lighting versus the east side of town. The west side of town is dark. Is that a budget issue as well?
What I ran across in my district, what I did was, I got with Kevin Monica, the guy over Energy, and he gave me some orange tape, and I taped my district, because you can call, but being I kind of be out all the time tonight, so I just take my district myself. But that's probably the problem, that some of the street lights is out, been busted out. So all you gotta do is get with your councilman. If you know one, you can call him, he can report it. All right, I'll give you some orange tape and I'll get some more.
Yeah, now they did come back and put them on West Madison. West Madison, but on our side street, that's the problem that we had.
And if I may, that was a major project that the mayor was discussing doing. He also.
Right, I was just gonna address
in our
that.
budget, when we was doing the budget, that's one of the things he discussed, going out and maybe, what you call it, Mr. Ricky Flex, working that somebody will be able to.
Right, Mr. Reverend Jones and, Councilman Locke, we discussed this, actually was yesterday, a plan to do just that, where we're gonna have city workers, without getting into the weeds, they're gonna, do some changes with, scheduling. And part of that, they're gonna go out and, survey the, city and mark every, pole that, that has an issue with lighting. And we're gonna, demark those poles with, I think some type of, yellow tape, and we're just gonna mark every pole, and then notify entry in regards to those. But the mayor, put together a plan, once we get it rolling, because I keep reminding, I think Mr. Jones reminded us the other day that we're only 10 days in, but it feels like it's been longer.
Yeah.
But Mr. Reverend, the mayor is aware of that situation. We did discuss it, and he has a plan, that once we get rolling, that's gonna be one of the things that you're gonna see.
Well, when you get over that area with Mr. Robinson, you can contact him, he will know every pole over there.
Well, they're gonna do it at night, so they'll see it. It's not gonna something that they're gonna do in the daytime. That's why, there're gonna be some, flexibilities with scheduling, because whoever, the team that does that, of course, they're gonna have to do it, with time frame. It's gonna be probably 10 o'clock. Yeah. So,
We got two outside the city hall. When you go out and make that right, there's two of them right there, so
Right.
it's all over town.
Hey, Mayor, hey, that's my district.
Oh, yeah, but, yeah, we got two.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Oh, they got orange tape on?
Good catch. Yeah.
I just see those.
I want to recognize our association president, Reverend Johnny Green, and also want to recognize our school board member, Ms. Tappan, and Ms. Adrian Williams has left. So, want to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I make it the motion. All in favor?